So now I'm going to answer some of the extra questions that we solved in class. So this one is relatively easy. In any ecosystem, terrestrial or aquatic, what is or are always necessary? So very easy. Autotroph are the ones that are always necessary because they support all the food chain. So these are schematics from your textbook and the video lecture, and we know that photosynthesis is not only performed by plants, but also protists and some bacteria also perform photosynthesis, and these organisms feed themselves and most of the living world, so they are the key for the survival of the planet, and the autotroph is the right answer. Yeah, heterotrophs are not necessary. They are not the key component. B, producers and primary consumers. So these primary consumers are not necessary. Photosynthesizers. There are different photosynthesizers that some of them you can, as I explained in class, for some reasons, and some animals can do sometimes photosynthesis. There are exceptions, but it is actually the idea is that they can make their own food. So this is not the best answer. The best answer will be D. And green plants is a type of organisms that do photosynthesis, but we have other ones. So for example, algae are very important. So this one is not correct. So the best answer will be D. So this question is a little bit difficult. I just want that you read it and I will give you the answer. But remember, the CO2 has been labeled. They use a specific way to label them. And they are asking you for the following compounds produced by the algae that lack this type of label in the oxygen. So think about it and I will explain it. Okay, this is a clue that can help you to answer the question. So let's answer the question. Here they label the CO2. So imagine they label it with red, and actually they label it with a heavy oxygen, and the CO2 is going to be part of the glucose and is also going to be part of the water. So the only oxygen that is not going to have this heavy oxygen is this one that is in blue, that is the oxygen. So the answer, the CO2, as I said, it goes into the water and it goes into this carbohydrate that here could be a glucose, water. These have the heavy oxygen, the 18 oxygen, while this oxygen is not going to have this label. So this is the right answer. Okay, now this one. When oxygen is released as a result of photosynthesis, is a direct product. So this one is very easy. You have again 5 options, and in the next slide I will show you in a schematic. Okay, so here you see the answer. Here you have the water, and there is a process called photolysis. That is the breaking of the water using light. So the correct answer, it will be splitting water molecule. Here you see that the oxygen is released as a result of that product. And chemiosmosis is not correct. Here we are talking about, if you remember, the osmosis of a ion, so that can produce ATP. So this doesn't make sense. Producing the NAD+, this doesn't make any sense. And the electron transfer in the photosystem 1 and 2, these they are not responsible for breaking for producing oxygen. What is producing oxygen is the photolysis that split the water. So the only correct answer will be B. Okay, this one is very easy. I think you already solved a variation of this question or this question. Which of the following products of the light reaction of photosynthesis are utilized in the Calvin cycle? And again, this question is very useful for your lab report. As we see here, it will be the ATP and NADPH, so this will be the answer. And when you have the Calvin cycle, when you have the start reactions, you can recycle this NAD plus and the ATP, so recycling. So the answer again will be this ATP and NADPH. So this is the answer, and I already explained in a previous video why all the other ones are wrong. Okay, this is another of those questions that it could be slightly difficult. So I want that you think about it. A plant that has a unique photosynthetic pigment, the leaves of this plant appear to be, and this is key, reddish. What wavelengths are visible light are being absorbed by this pigment? So here, the thing that you need to remember is why plants are green. Why plants are green, and in this case that they are reddish and yellow, what it means. Okay, so think about it. Okay, so the answers, remember, reddish, and they have this visible light. And if you remember the video lecture, the plants, the visible light is formed by all this wavelength, that they have short wavelength with high energy and long wavelength with lower energy. And the green light is reflected. This is why the plants look green, because they absorb other wavelengths, but this one is not absorbed, so they don't use it for photosynthesis, so this is why you don't use it. Now, in this case, they are not green, so they are reddish and yellow. So that is the first clue. So this one are the wavelength that they are not used by these plants. So what options do you have? You have the green one, and you have this one that is blue and violet. So let's try to discard to see which one are the right and the wrong questions. So A, red and yellow, we know right away that this is wrong. So red and yellow is wrong. B, blue and violet. So actually blue and violet make a lot of sense. So this could be right. Green, okay, green in C makes sense, but yellow, no, so C is wrong. D, blue can be correct, green can be correct, but red, no, so this is wrong. Green can be correct, blue can be correct, but yellow, no. So this is wrong. So the only option that is possible is B. So blue and violet. So remember why plants are green, or they look green to us, because they are reflecting that light. And remember, in this case, if they are reddish and yellow, these plants, is because they are using different, they are reflecting this long wavelength. Okay, this question, I'm sure that you know the answer. So in the thylakoid membranes, what is the main role of the antenna pigment molecules? So we already answered one like that. So they are in charge of harvest photons and transfer light energy to the reaction center chlorophyll. So here you have the light, here you have all these pigments bound to a protein that they are going to take all this photon, absorb it, and transfer the light energy to this, that is the reaction center. So as I said, they are formed by pigment bonds to proteins and they transfer the energy to the reaction center. Okay, now this question, which of the events listed below occur in the line reaction? So that one is also very easy. So think about it and I will answer it in the next question. Okay, so the answer clearly is E, because if you remember the light here, you see the light in this schematic that is later absorbed and it goes to the reaction center. So here you can see all this process that take place in E, while in the other ones are wrong. So for example, the NADP is produced. No, this is produced in the Calvin cycle to recycle the ADP and the NADP plus. In B, NADPH is reduced to NAD plus. This happens in the Calvin cycle. And carbon dioxide is incorporated into this compound, 3-phosphoglycerate. So this is wrong because this also happened in the Calvin cycle. So all these are wrong, and ATP is phosphorylated to yield ADP. This is wrong. Actually, it's ADP that is phosphorylated. So all these one are wrong. The only answer is E. Okay, so while most of the questions are about the photosystem 2, here I ask a question about the photosystem 1, and the question is it has two potentially correct answers, so I wonder you think about it. So, and remember, is directly associated, so that is key to answer this question. So, and again, the photosystem 2 is here, is the second section of the third section of this light reactions. And if you remember, there is an electron transport change here that end up producing the NADPH, but before that they were receiving some electrons from the another electron transport change. So here, just to remind you, let's go to A. A is wrong because this happened in the photosystem 2. Yeah, so this happened here when you are happened here in the ATP. B, they are receiving electrons from the thylakoid membrane from the thylakoid transport chain. This is happened here, so this can be correct. Generation of molecular oxygen, no, this happened here, so this is in the photosystem 2. So this is wrong, and A is wrong. So far B is the only one that is right. The extraction of hydrogen electrons from splitting water, and here is the water, so this also happened in the photosystem 2, so this is wrong. And here, passing electrons to the thylakoid membrane, electron transport chain, so this is actually true. However, so although you have two questions that are very similar, A and B, they are asking you what are directly associated. The only one that is associated only with the photosystem 1. So if you see E is passing, this one is photosystem 2 and photosystem 1 because both are passing electrons. This one is also passing electrons here. So this one it could be in both photosystems. So the best answer will be receiving electrons because the photosystem, the photosystem 2 is not receiving electrons from an electron transport chain. Is receiving it from the breaking of the water. So the best answer will be this one. Will be B. So to summarize, the only potential, the best answer will be B, because this only happen in the photosystem 1, while this one can happen in the photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, because both this one is passing electrons and this one is passing electrons. However, the only one that is receiving electrons is the photosystem 1 here. Okay, so now these are just easy questions. You just have to try to think what are the components here and trying to balance the equation. So that is easy. Just think for a second and try to answer it. So this is very easy. So for example, now you know that here you have 6 molecules of CO2, 12 molecules of water, 1 molecule of glucose, 6 molecules of oxygen, and 6 molecules of hydrogen. So you just have to see that this is correct. So how we do it? So we just have to multiply. So carbons. If you see here, you have 6 carbons. I did this, 6 carbon, and here you have 6 carbon too. So this is correct. Now let's go for the oxygen. So you have 6 multiply. So oxygen you have 6 multiplied by 2. So here you have 12. And here you have more oxygen. So you have 12 multiplied by 1. So 12 multiplied by 1. So you will get here 12 and 12. So oxygen you are going to have 24. Now let's go here. You have oxygen, you have 1 multiplied by 6. So here, and 6 multiplied by 2. And here you have 6 multiplied by 1. So 6 multiplied by 1. So the answer here will be 6, 12, and 6. And this will be 24. So this seems to be right. And just to test that, we just have to get the hydrogen. And let's put it here, that I still have some space. So hydrogen, it will be 12 multiplied by 2. So 12 multiplied by 2, you get 24. And here you have, I still have space here. So hydrogen, it will be 1 multiplied by 12. And here you get 6 multiplied by 2. 6 multiplied by 2. So here you get, so here you have 12 plus 12. So you get 24. So you have everything right. So this is the right amounts of everything. And this is the answer. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Although if you took chemistry, this is a very simple exercise. Now try to answer this one. So here you just have to answer in the blank. What is happening here? What is this key process? And try to answer those questions. And here are the answers. So for example, here you have the light reaction, the Calvin cycle, and this is just a way to memorize some of the key processes and that are taking place during photosynthesis. So this is a good question that here we are comparing what happened during chemiosmosis and the electron transport chain in the mitochondria and the chloroplast, that, as we said, they're analogous process. So while in the mitochondria, we said that this is the intermembrane space, where this is located in the chloroplast. Here you have a membrane. What is the name of that membrane here? what is the name of the matrix here in the chloroplast, what do you produce, what is the name of this enzyme, and what is happening here, what are those processes that happening here. Okay, so that it was very easy. Here is there is an electron transport chain to produce the gradient. Here you have the ATP synthase. Here you have the thylakoid space. Well, here you have the stroma, and you produce ATP. So it was relatively easy. And here there is an additional exercise that you can solve that it can help you to understand better the photosynthesis. I hope that you understood most of the things, and if not, please send me an email and I can answer the question as soon as possible. Have a good day. Bye.